The renewal of the curfew in Boko has triggered the disruption of power supply to the East Mamprusi municipality and the Bunkrungu Nankmanduri in the northeast region. The frequent power outages have become a source of concern to residents of these two municipal and district assemblies. The situation has severely affected the commercial and social activities of the people and also disrupted public and private services. According to the power distributor NETCO, the situation is caused by the removal of the power control room staff in Boko due to the security situation in that town. The youth of Nalerigu and Gambaga have, however, rejected the explanation from NETCO. Correspondent Ilyas Tanko has more.
The past 2 months, the East Mamprusi municipality, including the northeast regional capital town Nalerigu, as well as the Bunkrungu Nankmanduri district, have been facing frequent and prolonged power outages. Electricity supply in communities of these areas has been unreliable and of poor quality. Each day, the power goes off at 4 p.m. and is never restored until around 11 p.m. the following day. In Nalerigu, the situation is severely affecting the commercial and social activities of the people, particularly cold store operators, electronic cash transfer operators, tailors and dressmakers, and shop owners. The residents also complained that the unannounced power cuts have damaged their electrical appliances and gadgets like deep freezers, refrigerators, television, and radio sets.
It's affecting my mobile money business, it's affecting my yogurt business, it's affecting all facets of my life, and it's very particular. We don't know what is really going on. No information via we are paying. We don't know whether because of the monopoly or what. I heard that some regions or some places, they don't see these things. For instance, while we here, no lights out. We are here in Queen, they tell us that, so we don't know what, and here is a regional capital. If they do the lights off, people will not come out, so we will not sell. And our things will not even freeze for us to sell. So that's our problem. We want the lights. They should give us our own substation, so that every day, if there is problem, they can be able to solve it for us.
What work do you do, perhaps?
Yeah, we are doing more money business. Affecting us a lot in the sense that all our phones that we are using to do transactions are off. Even customers' phones are also off. Due to that, they are not able to withdraw their money or send money because their phones are off, and without their phones, you can also do transactions.
The situation has been worsened by violence and instability in Boko, where the power control room for many parts of the northeast region is located. According to the power distributor NETCO, staff stationed in the control room in Boko were moved to Bolgatanga after the facility was targeted by gunmen during one of the escalations. The staff now moved from Bolga to Boko daily to provide critical services and return to Boko. These staff, including operators at the control room, who hitherto provided a 24-hour service via a shift arrangement, according to NETCO, are no longer available. Therefore, if faults occur after 4 p.m., there are no operators in the control room to restore power. However, the youth groups in Nalerigu and Gambaga have described the explanation of the NETCO as flimsy and unacceptable. The youth, on the other hand, are accusing the Boko area managing director of instigating the outages to punish the people of Mamprugu over the communal violence in Boko. The spokesperson of the Nalerigu Youth Association, Mahama Yamusa, spoke to JoyNews after a petition was sent to the NETCO in Bolga.
We are telling you to know that people are ethnically influencing it because they belong to one group or the other. Look, the truth of the matter is that this conflict of Kusasi Mamprusi is not in Nalerigu. It is in Boku. We agree they are our people, but it doesn't mean that the problem is from here. So if in the night you go and switch off power, one, it will lead to antisocial violence. People will steal. People will break into stores. People will do things that we cannot imagine. That is why we are thinking that no, even the Kusasi in their home also needs the lights. Why are you denying us of power with the mere reason that there's nobody in the control room? They are aware. They are only not acting. And they are not acting because the MD is from Pusiga. He kind of want to liaise with the people there to do certain things that we are not comfortable with. So if indeed they wanted to solve this problem, they would have done it.
According to Yamusa, the youth in the petition gave the NEDCO 1-week ultimatum to fix the challenge.
If they are not able to do anything within a week, it means that they are telling us to hit the roads, which we are prepared to do. If they think that we are not Ghanaians, Northeast region is not part of the regions of Ghana, we are not going to agree.
He said the residents of the Northeast region are demanding the installation of a power control room in the regional capital as a permanent solution.
Can you imagine Upper East, as small as it is? Navrongo alone is having 3 power stations. Balogun is having a power station. Bolga is having power station. Boku is having power station. Zebula is having power station. And we in the Northeast, we can boast of only a small power station at Walewale, which cannot supply the district here. Talk less of Bunkuru, Yuyo, and Cherponi. So the substation is what we need.
Elias Sutanko reporting from Nalirgu for JoyNews.
Flag bearer hopeful of the NDC, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, has dragged leadership of the party to court in an interlocutory injunction to restrain the party from holding its Congress this weekend. Dr. Duffuor had earlier raised concerns about the credibility of the party's voters register, which he says is fraught with several discrepancies. Court correspondent Joseph Akable joins me with excerpts of that rate. So what are the demands of Dr. Duffuor in that rate, Joseph?
Substantively, they are asking that the court puts the upcoming primaries on hold. That is the main relief that they are seeking, and restrains the Electoral Commission, for that matter, from organizing the primaries. They've also gone ahead to file an application for an injunction, and interestingly, that application for injunction is to be moved on the 15th. In terms of the documents that have been filed, they make quite a number of allegations in terms of the analysis that they've carried out regarding what they found when they received the register or the photo album from the party. They say that upon verification, it was found that the number of constituencies on the hard drive given to their representatives was 220, as opposed to the number of 228 that the party has indicated to be conducting the elections in terms of the constituencies. They say that after the initial verification also, they realized that there were some discrepancies in that there were some persons who, about 3,910 eligible voters, who have been disenfranchised. So persons who are supposed to be part of the electoral system who have been taken off. We also make the point that there are some individuals who have been added that they cannot simply vouch for them. Then they talk about repetitive names. They say in some instances, the names and identification is the same, but you realize that there is some slight difference by way of the person's identity. And so this is what they put before the court by way of the evidence, and saying that they are that the photo album register put out by the second defendant with the knowledge and consent and tacit approval of the first defendant will compromise the integrity of the elections and very much to the detriment of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. They therefore maintain that the reluctance to extend the time for the internal elections and provide a complete and credible photo album marks of a plan to create undue advantage for manipulation of the presidential primaries. And so this is the basis of the request that they are making to the court, that it puts this upcoming primary on hold.
Joseph Akable is court correspondent. Meanwhile, the head of the NDC legal team says they are exploring the option of having the case decided before May 13, so the party can go ahead with its primaries.
The party has not flouted any regulations, because the regulations don't talk about photo album. It talks about delegate list, which has been made available to them way back in March.
Are you now telling? Okay, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Now you talk about discrepancies. This happens. It's a commonplace. When these things happen, we invite the aspirants into a meeting with the elections committee. And while that meeting is taking place or is going on, there's somebody who is sitting with a computer, and then the corrections are inserted. This was a meeting that would have happened yesterday, but they abandoned the meeting and ran to court. So it is not as if when you are doing such an exercise, which covers about 356,624 delegates. Our delegates are 365, or 356 rather, 356, 624. There will definitely be some challenges, but what normally happens is for all the consensus of their representatives to come and sit with the election directorate, and then these corrections are made. You don't need to go to court on this. So what we are doing is to use the rules of court that allow for such things to happen, where this matter will be heard before Saturday. So we are exploring the use of legal instruments within the confines of the law to ensure that this matter is heard before Saturday. I have received calls from delegates all over the country. My last call came from Sandema, and they are livid. I'm not surprised that those texters are saying that clearly the number of votes that Dr. Kufuor would have garnered will be reduced by this action that he has taken. This is not in the best interest of the party. For you to file a frivolous and a vexatious research as this, just to thwart the effort of the party in its forward march, it's mind-boggling, particularly when it's coming from a very senior member of the party who should have known better.
Dr. Dufour's team is, however, hopeful that the party will put the primaries on hold and deal with their concerns. Antonio Edemasinho, a spokesperson for Dr. Dufour.
Let me take you through some of the concerns or some issues we identified in the register. We identified that 54% of the delegates in the photo album, the identities are yet to be identified. We identified again that 28% of delegates in the section list had no information at all. 2% of the names were additionally added to the register, and it's important to note that the percentage can be higher after the identities have even been verified. Again, 26% of the NDC delegates were missing from the register. We could not find them. The percentage again can be higher if the identities have been verified. Then there were duplicated photos, there were duplicated voters' IDs, unidentified persons were added onto the register, the full extent to which we really cannot speak to since we don't have the entire document. And 46% of the register cannot be validated with correct voter ID, party ID, photo, gender, polling station number, or police station code. So after identifying all this, what did Dr. Dufour's team do? We put together the documents and the evidence and attached to a letter. And in the letter, we suggested that looking at the number or the seriousness of the concerns or the irregularities with the register, it will be only prudent that the party postpones it, calls all stakeholders to a meeting, agree on a time frame for us to work or correct these anomalies. Then we can go into an election knowing that we are all satisfied with the document that is essential, the outcome. The posturing of the party is not one that gave, let me use the correct expression, individuals and the leaders of the party did not give a correct posture. Since we have no issue at all, as we speak, that document that was given to the party, there's not been any response to it. And for me, it's important to know that if we are serious about winning power in 2024, this eternal contest will be a test case for it. We need to be thorough, we need to respect opponents, we need to be able to do the right thing. And what else would Dr. Dufour do after exhausting all the internal structures of the party? It's to resort to legal to the court. And that is the only right thing to do. We are not going to demonstrate or be anti-party. We will use the law to correct whatever wrongs we've identified.
National Democratic Congress flag bearer hopeful and former President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, says the NDC has done far better in ensuring a better Ghana than the NPP. Speaking during his campaign in Tumu, the former president said despite flowery promises of the NPP in 2016, they have done little to fulfill that promise, and hence economic hardship Ghanaians are now wallowing in. JoyNews' Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Democratic Congress flag bearer hopeful John Dramani Mahama began his two-day campaign tour of the Upper West region at Tumu, capital of the South East constituency. He interacted with the 837 delegates drawn from 96 branches of the party that will be voting at the party's presidential and parliamentary primaries on Saturday. The delegates, clad in the party's paraphernalia and over 2 dozen glowing Vuvuzela happy supporters, the auditorium of the Tumu College of Education was full to the rafters. Former President John Dramani Mahama used the occasion to introduce the trio aspiring to represent the party in the 2024 polls, urging them and their supporters to put the primaries behind them once a victor emerges in the Saturday polls, and then went in for the jugular of the new Patriotic Party and President Akufo-Addo.
In 2016, all the lies they told, all the propaganda they told, Ghanaians can now see the truth. All the preaching, Yatisikasu, Akomdeye, and all that, Ghana, Yemo, and all those things. I mean, we are now even more mobile today than in 2016. Any work anybody does, you hardly get any profit. I can beat my chest and say that in 2016, when MDC was in power, our lives were far better than they are today. So I can assure you, all the predictions, all the opinion polls show that MDC is coming back into office.
He reiterated earlier plans made on the need to complete all projects started by the NDC and now being abandoned by the MPP.
All over, you go to our schools, you go to all our districts, and there are projects that government started that have been abandoned. There are some that are ongoing, but because they are not paying the contractors are not on site. We were building a lot of roads. When they came, they asked them to stop. They asked them to go back, but they are not paying the contractors, so the work is not going fast. So what we'll do is we're not going to be in a hurry to start new projects. We're going to take an inventory of all the abandoned projects and ongoing projects, including their own. We're not going to just do ours. Including their own. The projects any projects they are working on now, I don't see many of them, but whatever they are working on, together with ours that they abandoned, the E-blocks, the hospitals and all that, we're going to continue and finish them before we start any new projects.
The former president later rolled out of town and headed west to Bolu, where he also interacted with delegates of the party in the Sasala West constituency. The Sasala West constituency has 881 delegates drawn from 94 branches of the party. The delegates have resolved to not only give a resounding victory in Saturday's presidential primary, but will work to ensure that John Dramani Mahama is returned to power to continue with his good works as well. Leading the charge are the constituency chairman, Faisal Mahmood, and the member of parliament, Adam Suparu.
We know and we are aware you can do the work. You have been on the seat before. You have an unfinished project that we are waiting on you to do. And out of that, we wish and pray that you win power and come and continue with those projects. We in Sisala West wouldn't have not even a single senior high school to boast of. We are aware of the many projects initiated in our constituency here. And so, based on your experience, as you said yourself, it is experience and not experiment. We are going to ensure
Former President John Dramani Mahama spoke about the implementation of the free senior high school program implemented by the government, which he said is rippling with serious challenges due to lack of consultation.
When he introduced the free SHS, I said hold a stakeholder consultation so that you can implement it properly, because there are challenges. And since then, they've refused. Today, the free SHS is not working properly. The children go for a few weeks and then they come back. After you have spent so much money sending your child to school, they go and spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then they are back home. When NDC was in office, our children all used to go to school at the same time. And they spend 2 months, 3 months in school before they come back. Today, when they come back after 4 weeks, you have to get a teacher and pay the teacher to continue to teach them so that they don't forget what they learned in school. And this has all become a major issue.
The former president wrapped up his day campaign tour of the region by visiting Lambusi, Nandom, Laura, and West Central constituencies.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Tumu.
Away from the NDC, the Ghana Boundary Commission and minister responsible for lands and natural resources are expected to appear before Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Forestry when Parliament resumes. The invitation is for the two to provide answers on the exclusion of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission from the governing board of the Ghana Boundaries Commission. Chairperson of the committee, Francis Menu Adabo, who disclosed this to the media in Kumasi, believes certain boundary operations meant for surveyors in the Lands Commission are being handled by unwarranted professionals. More in this report.
The Ghana Boundary Commission was established by an Act of Parliament to demarcate, delimit and manage Ghana's international and internal boundaries. The 15-member governing body, chaired by the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, does not include the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission, but the Ghana Institute of Surveyors. Speaking at the National Retreat of Surveyors, Chairperson of Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Forestry, Francis Menu Adabo, observed the decision is inappropriate and insists on the inclusion of surveyors.
It was there, but they were working under the Survey and Mapping Division years back. The Director of Survey had complete control of the mapping they do at the boundary, because you don't compromise 1 inch at the boundary. 1 inch of land can bring confusion at the boundary. So whatever they do as a commission, I think somebody from the Survey and Mapping Division should be part. If they say somebody from the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, we have 3 different divisions there. There can be a valuer, there can be architect, and there can be a land surveyor. But that aspect should be land surveyor. You should go in there, see to the practices, make sure all the accuracies and everything is taken care of before they go out and do the boundary demarcation. So I will invite the Executive Secretary and then the Boundary Commission. They are all reporting to my committee. And then we bring the minister and iron out. I'm not saying what they are doing is not right. They have qualified surveyors there, but their work should be controlled by the Director of Surveys.
The 2023 National Retreat of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission brought together surveyors across the country to deliberate on adopting measures to digitalize the sector. The MP warned the surveyors against working with unqualified surveyors who are denting the image of the profession.
There are so many quack surveyors out there, and some of you people know them and you work with them. So many quack surveyors out there, you know them and you work with them. So how can we protect the profession? Believe me, the Survey and Mapping Division, if we fail, the Lands Commission fails. Because all the other sectors, all the other divisions use your data for their job.
Director of Survey at the Lands Commission, Na Bukari Abudulai, believes review of existing laws on mapping and surveying could smoke out quacks in the profession.
We've had a whole lot of the land disputes in all sectors of the courts, largely because wrong people go into want to do survey, they want to do registration, and they will want to sell land when they don't even own the land. They don't even know where the land is. So it is only our laws that would be able to deal with such people in such a manner that others would not be thinking of repeating same mistakes.
The insurgents of boundary disputes continue to wreak havoc in communities. Paramount Chief of Asante Achim Domiabra, Bafo Owusu Bediako, wants the institution to work in resolving land disputes.
The lack of adequate measures to deal with these issues have led to poverty, inter- and intra-tribal conflict, leading to loss of life and property, among others. Technological advancement has afforded us the opportunity to charter a new path in the practice of survey in the country. It is my earnest prayer that the outcome of this all-important meeting will lead to a great transformation in survey practice and improved efficiency and productivity in land management in the country.
The 2023 National Retreat of the Surveying and Mapping Division of the Lands Commission was held under the theme Repositioning Surveying and Mapping in the Era of Digitalization for Socio-Economic Development. The division called on the government to support them with resources as they strive to digitalize the surveying industry. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Let's stay in Kumasi because the central market traders affected by the phase 2 of the KJTR redevelopment project are up against the government over the stalled construction. They are mobilizing to remove barricades at the project site to start trading if the government fails to ensure work resumes in the next 2 months. The traders are questioning the turnaround of promises before their relocation that funds were available for progress smoothly.
The second phase of the KJTR redevelopment project halted in December last year. Construction firm contractor laid off over 2,000 workers who were engaged on projects awarded to the company in Kumasi. Some weeks ago, angry petty traders demonstrated against the members of parliament in the region for doing less to ensure the completion of the market facility. The traders are up again, prevailing on the government to ensure the contractors return to site. If they don't come back to site, we will show this government that we are very serious. We are giving them just 2 months. If they don't come and continue the work, we will go and make sales regardless.
Pese kasha na nadu se edwa no waja asie no ena no waja asantema nyina asiwo kyerese fie bia mu asanteman mu no.
We are telling Nanado that his refusal to continue this project means he's neglecting Asanteman, because this is what we also do for a living. Some of the aggrieved traders claim they have lost their capital due to the temporary loss of trading space. Times are hard for us as fathers. My children are in senior high and the university. We plead with government to begin the project as soon as possible. We leave everything to God, but we will boycott the 2024 election. Leaders of the combined Kumasi Central Market Traders Union, Emilia Kofi and Joseph Owusu, say they are expecting the government to get the contractors on site in the next 2 months to avert an industrial action.
We are still expecting a completion of the project by the stipulated date. That is what that's how I'll put it. They gave us a time when they are going to complete. Our only worry is that with the break in the construction of the project, we ask ourselves if they can meet the time that they set. We want to believe that the government will meet it. Otherwise, as traders, we will have to advise ourselves.
First one, a press conference was hard way home. I could see, say, I could see I'm paying for. As my mukache said, this is IMF scanner de Abba. But because you're trying to IMF. To be frank,
we doubt they can fix it before June, and if they don't, we will take action.
We will take action.
For JoyNews, Nana Boachi Dankwayadom reporting.
Let's bring you back to Accra, where European Union's ambassador to Ghana is stressing the need for Ghana to deepen ties with the EU towards the execution of shared developmental objectives. According to him, the EU is still committed to supporting Ghana despite the challenges imposed by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Addressing a gathering of dignitaries and guests at this year's EU Day celebration, the ambassador said empowering Ghanaian youth remains one of the topmost priorities of the EU. JoyNews' Aisha was at the EU's residence and reports.
This is the official EU's residence here in Accra, the place that has been formally designated to host this year's edition of the Europe Day. Now, the essence of this particular celebration is to, of course, amplify the EU and, more importantly, deepen the rapport between the EU and Ghana. The event today will, of course, see speeches being read by dignitaries and other prominent fellows from government, as well as representation from the European Union. The annual event seeks to celebrate the peace and unity in Europe. This year, scores of excited foreign nationals in Ghana were present in their numbers. Speaking at the function, the EU's ambassador to Ghana, Echod Rosali, stressed the need for deepened ties between Ghana and the EU, especially in the area of youth development.
Together with you, we are ready to embrace this challenge by supporting and empowering Ghanaian youth to gain skills, acquire jobs, and have bright futures before them. In quoting an eminent Ghanaian, a society that cuts off from its youth severs its lifeline, once said the late Kofi Annan. So to bring life back into our economies and democracies, both on the European and African continents, the answer lies in turning to our young generation and providing them with the right skills to thrive. And this is what we are doing.
According to him, despite the challenges imposed by the Russian-Ukraine war, the EU is still resolute in supporting Ghana.
Despite Russia's ongoing and justified aggression on Ukraine at our doorstep, I would like to underline that the EU does not look away from other major instability and from other major partners. Not €1 has been diverted from our initial commitment to Ghana. On the contrary, we are expanding, increasing our initial envelope to address new needs and new challenges. We stick by our partners like Ghana, and we stand by our commitments.
Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, also reiterated government's readiness to partner the EU to better the lot of young people in the country.
We are also grateful for the EU to continue support of the youth in the area of education through the provision of scholarships to Ghanaian students studying in European universities. We are hopeful that other EU projects in the pipeline aimed at empowering and developing the youth will be launched soon for the mutual benefit of EU and Ghana.
Some young participants also expressed delight and emphasized the need for young people to be supported across all walks of life.
It's the people who make up the youth today. They're going to be in those places tomorrow, right? And so if we can invest in them, we can find ways to build better partnerships, and then along that tangent, we'll be able to do better. So I think that's really what's going to help us.
The young people are not just the future of tomorrow, but the future of today. The question is not even about how they can be grafted into it. They should be a part of it right from the beginning.
Amidst the talks on youth empowerment and Ghana's relationship with the EU, guests from the European community were treated serenading rounds of good Western music. The celebrations were also fused with the thrill of magic.
Open your hands and show. Oh, and there are now more than 2-4. Please clap for him. They are the magicians for the night.
It's been a very jolly atmosphere here, one that has been charged with scintillating music and good highlight conditions. But of course, amidst all the celebrations, the central theme that has featured prominently in all the discourses is the need for Ghana and the European Union to deepen ties so as to, of course, facilitate trade outcomes and accelerate other mutual benefits. Reporting here at the EU residence, my name is Aisha.
Crops like maize and rice have received significant government and donor funding for breeding foundation seed for multiplication. However, sorghum seed production has not received the necessary attention to ensure improved foundation seed and is always available for manufacture of certified seeds for farmer use. The crop is currently receiving a boost to increase production in the Upper East region. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin was at the Manga station of the Savannah Agric Institute SARI of the CSIR in Boko and has filed this report.
Coming up with foundation seed of Kapala and Dorado for farmers to take up. I've identified some certified seed growers. So when we get a foundation seed, the farmers will pick up this and grow, and we'll get certified seed for the coming rainy season. So what we do, we take advantage of dry season, produce the seed, and then farmers will also take up the advantage and also produce along the rivers where we have water. We have tried to introduce irrigation, drip irrigation to it because dry season at this environment you will not get water.
The production of 2 foundation seeds, Kapala and Dorado, at the Savannah Agriculture Research Institute, SARI, of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, will enable farmers to produce certified seed for commercial uses. Certified seed is the progeny of foundation seed, and its production is supervised and approved by certification agencies. This is the commercial seed which is available to the farmers, and its genetic purity should be 99%. Here is Dr. Peter Asongre Anabiri, plant breeder at the Manga station.
Our role in this project is to be able to come up with foundation seed. Initially, we were supposed to produce only breeder seed, but we realized that it is also a problem getting the foundation seed from the farmers. So we have this plot that you have seen here is actually a foundation seed plot that we are producing so that the farmers can pick it up and produce the certified seed. With time, we will go back to our primary seed production, that is the breeder seed production, so when the farmers are having a foundation seed, then when we get enough farmers that will be producing the foundation seed, then we ourselves stay with the breeder seed production so that the farmers can continue.
Sorghum is not only healthy and nutritious, but has a reasonably good drought tolerance.
Sorghum is a crop that is grown mostly up north. It's a Sahelian crop, or the Guinea Savannah crop, and we are in the Guinea Savannah zone. And this is a crop that requires not so much water. Sorghum and millet will not require so much water. Less than 1,000 millimeters a year, they will still perform, provided it is distributed the right way. And it also requires an amount of sunshine, and we have enough sunshine here for it to be able to grow. It is used for a lot of a lot of our traditional activities here, including festivals, including weddings, or call them customary rites, and even sometimes the sacrifices, because they use it as a way of carrying out some of their sacrificial things. And it is also a food source. They can use it to prepare dessert. It can be used for porridge. That's why the people up north here will continuously hold on to the crop.
While its production is increasing, it is one of the crops with the least assistance in terms of research and development, which is impeding its growth.
And we are people that want to be able to preserve this tradition, preserve this culture, and ensure that we come up with new varieties. At least in the meantime, what we have now, we have to preserve it. And then we have worked currently. The last time the variety release committee came, there were some varieties that were released, and we are in this cropping season that is coming. We'll do a lot of demonstrations, and then we'll look at upscaling of those things. So sorghum is very important in the cultural settings of the people of the north, because that's what we use for dessert, that's what we use for azonko, that's what we use for porridge.
In comparison to maize and rice, which have better seeds produced virtually every year, sorghum has not seen the introduction of enhanced varieties in the past 5 years. Farmers have been using their own seed for many years. According to Dr. Songre, the repeated usage of seed has contributed to lower yields and farmers' inability to become climate smart. This is due to the fact that present seed has a long gestation time, whereas rainfall patterns in sorghum producing areas are growing shorter.
Millet and sorghum are climate smart varieties. They are climate smart, resilient crops. One, because we have those that mature between 75 and 100 days. That's a maximum of 3 months. Now, when you look at the rainfall pattern now that we have in the Upper East and parts of northern region, you realize that we used to have it around April, May. Now it is between May and June. Before the rainy season sets, it's around middle of June. So when you still plant sorghum, which is a climate resilient crop, you'll be able to get your yield. Because these are materials that mature within 90-100 days. And once the climate is becoming shorter, or the rainy season is becoming shorter, you need to look for short duration materials that can fit the niche. And sorghum is one of them. Pearl millet is one of them, especially the early maturing ones. So that's why we think that sorghum is very critical, because you can have the legumes, but the legumes you cannot use them to prepare TZ. If you want to prepare TZ, you want to prepare porridge, you will have to go to millet or sorghum. And that's why it's important for us as a climate smart material, because it doesn't require so much rain. Like I mentioned, between 600 and 900 millimeters of rainfall the whole year if it is well distributed.
Poor quality seeds are unable to use other variables such as water and nutrients that plants require to enhance yields. As a result, there will be less sorghum available and hence less money for farmers. According to the plant breeder, the decision to invest in sorghum seeds is timely, given the crop's growth and growing demand, which necessitates greater efforts aimed at raising production to satisfy the rising need.
One of the things that we are doing is that, yes, why we're using irrigation is that we want to be able to see how we can get at least 3 crops in a season. When we're using this one, Kapala and Dorado, they are 100 and 110 days. So 3 in a season, you can grow it 3 times. At least you can grow it 2 times. At most, you can grow it 3 times. So we want to see how we can, with this irrigation, we are able to increase the number of times that you turn out the seed that will be made available, the class of the seed that will be available to farmers. So we go into the irrigation, and we're also telling the farmers that it is also a good thing. Dry season, don't just sit wasting away. See how you can get this irrigation facility, grow the crop, and it is market for you, it is money for you.
Water scarcity is growing more significant as global climate change and related issues worsen. Agriculture development is linked to water resources, and its long-term viability is under threat. Sorghum is a cereal crop that is an important source of food, fodder for the developing world's semi-arid tropical regions. It is one of the top 6 cereal crops, providing diet for over 250 million people in semi-arid tropic and dry land areas of South Asia and Africa. Sorghum is also considered a climate-smart crop because of its greater tolerance to heat, drought, and salinity. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
The president of the Association of Banks has indicated banks have access to enough liquidity to operate despite current economic challenges. We have details shortly coming up in business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, has indicated that banks have access to enough liquidity to operate despite the current economic challenges. According to him, confidence in the economy is gradually growing as a result of Ghana's imminent IMF deal. He was speaking at the 3rd edition of the Money Summit organized by the Business and Financial Times.
The 3rd edition of the Money Summit, organized by the Business and Financial Times, was held under the theme, Africa's Robust Financial Sector, the Catalyst for a Sustainable Economic Growth. The discussion focused on enhancing the partnership between banks and fintechs to drive growth in the financial sector. In an interview, President of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, said banks are gradually recovering from the impact of the domestic debt exchange program.
The banks are obviously doing well, and from the results that we have seen, and those numbers are still being calibrated. We have bounced back, and as I said, there's liquidity within the banking space. Banks are doing their financial intermediation. Of course, the economy is not in the best place at the moment. We are all hoping that the IMF program comes in time so that the confidence within the economy will be vibrant and we can ride on the back of that, transact and to do business and to meet your needs.
Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abina Amwa, reiterated the need for government and stakeholders to collaborate in restoring the economy to good standing.
By promoting responsible investing, ethical banking practices, and the integration of environmental, social, and governance considerations, we can create a more sustainable and resilient economy that benefits present and future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, to achieve these goals, collaboration among us is paramount. Governments, regulatory bodies, financial institutions, private sector entities, and civil society must all work hand in hand. We need to foster a culture of transparency, integrity, and accountability. By strengthening governance frameworks, enhancing risk management systems, and promoting ethical behavior, we can build a financial ecosystem that commands trust and attracts investment and stands the test of time.
Banks were urged to partner fintechs to grow the financial sector and stabilize the economy.
Now, MTN Ghana says it has increased its investments in cybersecurity to ensure the safety of customers. According to the Cybercrime Unit of the Criminal Investigation Department, Ghanaians lost over $19 million in 2020 to cybercrime and recorded 1,097 cybercrimes. Now, speaking at the launch of the new Techno Common 20 series, Senior Manager of Customer Planning and Analytics at MTN Ghana, Guido Sopeme, indicated that his outfit bears the responsibility of ensuring that all forms of users are protected from cybercrimes.
Into a ranking by Global Cybersecurity Index, Ghana is one of the most cyber-secure countries in Africa, behind Mauritius and Tanzania. Telecommunication giant MTN Ghana believes that investing in cybersecurity infrastructure will keep the status quo. Here's Senior Manager of Customer Planning and Analytics at MTN Ghana, Guido Supime.
Cybersecurity is a concern for all. Technology is a good master, but can really be a very bad servant. And that's why we have to be responsible with the use of technology. And at MTN, we are particular about that. And we are investing a lot in that space to ensure that there's a lot of safety, there's a lot of security, and even the young ones, parental control, what our kids are exposed to because of technology and the proliferation of internet today. We pay a lot of attention there, and we think it's an area we need to focus on, and we are doing a lot in that direction.
Techno, a phone manufacturer, launched its new Techno Common 20 series phones in partnership with MTN. For his part, the General Manager for Business at Techno, Daniel Glover, called on the government and the media to support business owners through practical workshops and innovative ways of optimizing business profits.
How can we in Africa, therefore, address once and for all this canker of individualism and the desire to own 100% of our small businesses instead of owning a small percentage of a larger partnership or joint venture whose earnings can be more than 10 times the one that we would have earned when we operate alone? Even Liverpool Football Club never walks alone. We need business development strategists to come out and consistently address this issue. We need the media to pick up this issue, to get experts to address them. We need governments and NGOs to take up this issue and organize training workshops for business owners where there can be practical demonstrations of how this can work. And when that is done and the lessons learned are effectively implemented, then we can say we have found the solution, which is a total change of mindset of the African business owners from individual ownership to partnerships.
Marketing Manager for Techno, Solomon Amwako, highlights some unique features of the new Techno Common 20 phone.
We have an inbuilt fingerprint, on-screen fingerprint that enables you to unlock your phone on the screen. We also have the fact that you can use the front and the rear camera at the same time. So if you're a social media user, or if you actually someone who takes video most of the times, you can use your selfie, your front camera, and you can use the rear camera at the same time. And then, as a matter of fact, the stylish design, it has a magic stylish design that has already won an award that obviously I know you, the media, know of. We have also increased the internal memory from 256 to 512, and then 8 gigabytes RAM, which actually can be doubled to 16 gigabytes RAM.
The purchase of the phone comes with free 2 gig data for 6 months.
And that's business. The news continues after this break.
As I wrap up the bulletin this morning, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. See you again at 12.